in short, there's like a temporary clouds of feelings that we all have, but they don't come to stay. Feelings come to not to be permanent, but rather come and go like clouds. But however, to say one more thing, the true joy of music comes to stay permanently. And that's what I feel like it got me very early. Hello, Petra. Good morning.
Hello, Sebastian. How are you?
How are you? I'm doing well. Nice to meet you.
Lovely to meet you too. Yeah, it's early morning there in New York now.
It's 9:30. It's a beautiful morning. It's not so cold today. How about in Vienna?
Well, it's windy and a bit of rain, so it's not so good today. But I see the sunshine behind you, so that's great.
Yes, and I have my favorite Viennese restaurant and cafe, the Sabarsky Cafe in New York City. I love that place.
Really?
Yes. We cannot go often enough with our family.
Oh, wonderful. And what do you usually order?
Well, I like everything, the goulash, the schnitzels. It's just my kind of place. Like it's really authentic.
Really? I'm a schnitzel girl. Oh, I like a schnitzel. Yeah.
Great.
But Sebastian, it's so lovely to talk to you.
Thank you very much. Same here.
Yeah, and Ruben told me about you, and and I would love to hear your story and how did you start playing the piano? I mean, what was it initially about the piano that interests you?
Yeah, so it was back then when I was 5 or even younger. I remember those trips with my dad actually in our house for the weekend, and he would put Vivaldi and piano concertos, and it was something very intense for me, and with lots of mixed emotions, and I felt the need to ask them to let me learn. And they weren't very sure because my dad was an architect. So, and my mom helped him in the house with the family. And so they weren't prepared for such a serious demand because I was serious so very young. So I started like at the Collegium Musicum at 4 or 5. It's like a kindergarten for music. And one thing led to the other until I started in a conservatory at age 10. But to your second question is what was it about the piano that appealed to me? That's really what I find engaging in my story, because I thought that if everyone else would feel what I feel, that tremendous joy, everyone else would turn into a pianist. So really? I just had to tell that story right away. I could not help to share that. Yeah. And it was a library of feelings. So when feeling happy and music is happy, it's all good. It's simple. But when feeling sad and music is happy, it's healing. When feeling sad and music is sad, it's soothing. When feeling happy and music is sad, it gives you perspective. So in short, there's like a temporary clouds of feelings that we all have, but they don't come to stay. Feelings come to not to be permanent, but rather come and go like clouds. But however, to say one more thing, the true joy of music comes to stay permanently. And that's what I feel like it got me very early.
That's so interesting that you say that you could at that age already have that feeling. And yet your parents, they're not musicians, but they had a love for music, obviously, because your dad played the music. Yeah.
Well, my grandparents, they loved music. My grandmother my mom's mom, she used to actually even teach piano, like for a short period of time. So she also was a big influence on me. And yes, but I have European roots and a long history with music. So my parents were like subscribed to anything they could go in terms of concerts. In Buenos Aires, there is like a big cultural life, Teatro Colón, etc., etc. So yes, I was very, very much involved in all that. But nobody became like a professional musician in my family.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
but your dad
somebody has to be first.
Yeah. But your dad's an architect, and that's also very artistic.
It's true. Yes, my dad he sadly passed away last year, but he lived a long life, 88. He was he made important works as an architect in Argentina and in South America. Yes.
But so now you are you started playing music, and then was it already at that young age that you decided this is going to be your career?
Yes, I mean it was a process, I would say, because I like to do lots of things very young, especially from 10 to 16. I like play chess, ping pong, going summer vacations. I like socializing. So I try to, I had a complete normal life, although it was very easy to me to sit and learn music. So I felt more and more the need to think about that more seriously. And I knew it at some point, sooner or later, I had to make a decision, as everybody else has to decide what they want to do in their adult life. And I think I remember having like two calls, sort of saying, two big calls about this. One was when I was little, and I was learning the Bach little preludes. It's precisely the one in C minor, 999. And maybe I'd like to play it even for your audience today. So it's a short prelude, a minute and a half or so. But what it struck me is I believe that the harmonic structure is almost choral in that prelude. So that somehow awakens something already existing in me, like a spirituality and resilience that was transmitted and is transmitted in Bach's music, I think, beyond words. And the second, more definite call was when I started listening to the Mozart Piano Concerto in A major, 488, which actually I was around 15, 16, and then I changed it, and my piano teacher. And it ended up being the piano concerto, which I started my international career in the Netherlands with the Amsterdam's Concerto. When I turned 22, I had the immense honor to be invited at the Grote Zaal in Amsterdam's Concerto with Jaap van Zweden, who now is he's a superstar in the Netherlands, but now he even is the principal conductor of New York Philharmonic. So he's like the new Bernstein. So at that age, he was climbing in his career. I was just beginning. I remember I got the first prize of an Argentine piano competition. That was a Mozarteums, actually, linked to Vienna, linked to Austria. Mozarteums competition, and that is Mozarteum is an institution that brings everybody to South America, all the orchestras, the artists, and they have competitions for young artists. So that definitely gave me a kickoff. But the point is, when I was 16, that was a knockout for me. So with that simplicity and spontaneity that Mozart actually builds musical empires, right? Mozart, your guy. Such longing and such dialogue between instruments. I mean, that incredibly teamwork when I was listening to the orchestra gave me the faith, and courage to move on as a musician, no matter what it would take. So that was the second and most definite call I had.
Well, that's amazing that you had that so young, that you could understand that so young.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But now you've got a very lovely personality also, like energetic personality that I can even get from talking to you on Zoom. And is this something that you also do you think that makes you distinctive in playing and the artist that you are? Is this also how you how you play the piano?
I was very lucky, I think, because I had the luck to, first of all, I'm originally from South America, which is already, all over the place. I live in the US, but I'm originally there. I did my career mostly in Europe. So, but I was very lucky because I had the luck to play Mozart with Austrian orchestras, like, for example, the Linz Orchestra. Bruckner. So I was very lucky because I was invited to play Beethoven with the Stuttgart Philharmonic, with working with German conductors. And I was also lucky to play all Piazzolla programs with Argentine orchestras, touring touring actually different countries in Europe and here in the US. Liszt with Hungarian orchestras. Rachmaninoff, I recorded Rachmaninoff 2 and 3 with the Kiev State Ukrainian Orchestra, which is all the East European heaviness and sound. So I think that gave me a little bit of the sense of a perfume, a scent of the music. It's not just about playing the notes, but I think Gershwin would sound better with the New York Philharmonic than from an orchestra from Argentina. So
Really?
and vice versa. I think there is things that are difficult and a little bit intangible to transmit. And I was very lucky to have all these kinds of cocktail, so to say. So I think in a way that answers a little bit your question, maybe.
Yeah, but I spoke to Charlie Albright, a young pianist also in America, and he was saying, and he was the second artist who told me that the fact that his parents were not musicians and that, you know, that there was not this type of environment, that made him more sort of also relaxed in what he was doing, you know, that he didn't feel so much pressure, and that he's much more his own person or own artist. Would you say that is also something that that could make a difference when it's not that I'm saying that parents who are musicians are necessarily put pressure on, but that you have then something to live up to. And now, you know, when your parents were not musicians, then you can just be the musician that you are.
True, but I think it's a flip coin, because it's the two sides of one story. That because I didn't have the platform and the knowledge and the avenues that parents that would have been musicians would maybe show me clearly, I had to find it myself, and I had to go through a very difficult moment in my career where I had to decide. And actually, this is what I would even advise to young musicians. Like at some point, like protect, do whatever it takes to protect your gift. So never let the joy be compromised. I remember being at the point that also so made me promise myself to always protect that. So at some point, I started to perform over and over the same pieces professionally, very young, and that gave me a sense of stress and responsibility. Also, sometimes people twice my age, big conductors. And I felt a lot of pressure, and that could maybe threat my purity with the relationship with the sound. And it could maybe even threat that joy and that spontaneity. So at that point, therefore, I decided to withdraw to stop the ball, like withdraw for a moment. And I decided to immigrate to the US and came here at the beginning without a working visa. I had to come flights several times. I remember how tough my immigration process was. I finally got my green card. I became a citizen years later. But at the moment, when I came in 2004, I joined back then as faculty at the piano school in New York City, and I found a real vocation in teaching. Now I work independently, and actually I work I have students in India, students in Argentina, because I mean, of Zoom, and at the beginning of the pandemic, one had to be very creative, and that led me to find a whole new world of possibilities. But this started when I came here. So once again, my parents not being a musician, they weren't sure what to tell me at that because I started so young. I didn't decide to go to Juilliard when I was 18. I was playing with the biggest orchestras, the conductors. So I didn't have time to go to a conservatory. So then when this happened in my life, it was like a crisis that, you know, as people say, it could turn into an opportunity, a crisis, right? So for me, that crisis became trying to find my way. and I found it teaching. And some of my most joyful music career years actually happened in the US. For example, recording the whole 32 Beethoven sonatas. That some point I needed to have time with myself and think about all the experiences I had performing, and what is that what I was willing to risk in terms of if I feel so stressed and not feeling that I could do more repertoire. I'm playing the same pieces over and over. Is that why I became a musician? If we go back to the beginning of our conversation, that was not why I became a musician.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit a long story short in that way, right?
Mm. And because this is also, you mentioned now, you said advice to young musicians. Now, I've also spoken to many young pianists and also many young musicians who were also part of my project Moments in Lockdown. And it was also sometimes this conversation about there's so many pianists, there's so many conductors, you know, but talking about pianists now, how important do you think in this time where everybody is on social media, there's so much to take in, how important do you think it is for a young pianist to find his own personality or to find his own style at a young age, you know, coming from a university or a conservatorium, that they do that instead of trying to fit in this mold?
So in terms of, a lot of people is doing the same. There is a big competition. Yeah, all that is true. But once again, if you have a message to say, if you feel that passion, that joy, you can just simply have to say that message. It doesn't matter who else is saying the message. It's like if there's many people feeling a lot of joy doing something, well, it's great, but it's not that will stop you feeling your joy. So
yeah.
once again, what is that ability to compromise work and joy balance? That's something that everybody has to discover and find a way. And that's but for me, I knew that I wasn't willing to compromise that direct connection from the music to the audience. Without all the expectations, what's expected, not expected, if he liked it, not. No, you have a message, you have to say it, that's it. So I feel like that's what always gave me strength, even in the most difficult moments.
And now, do you play different genres?
I do. I mean, I as I mentioned before, I played like new tango, Piazzolla, which is like a symbol, I would say, iconic figure in music from Argentina. I formed the trio from the Astor Piazzolla Foundation, and it has a different instrumentation during the years. First was bandoneon, cello, and piano. And then it became a violin, cello, and piano. We changed the orchestration. We toured. So yeah, that gave me like a new vision of classical music, because today is considered classical music. I to my students I teach of course a classical foundation, but some of them enjoy jazz, and I love working with jazz. By the way, everybody's welcome to contact me if they want to study with me from your audience. Yeah.
I'll put the link. I'm going to put. Do you have a website? Then I'll put the link.
Of course, yes, absolutely, absolutely, yes. Yeah. So anyway, so I for me it's okay. I love classical music, and with classical I mean from the Baroque to the late Romantics. I mean, that's what I love. I like many other things, but it's my love. My heart is there.
Okay.
So yeah. I love to listen to many other genres of music, but as a musician, I'm classically trained. Yeah.
So now, tell me, what is your wish for the future?
Wow, that's always. Actually, I'm looking into conducting. I'm looking into
really?
conducting. I'm in conversation. Yeah, I'm in conversations with the Now he's retired, but he was the principal conductor of the National Symphony in Argentina. He's also another prominent figure in the musical world, but he's retired, and he's trying to figure out the Zoom, and he's not very, he's 80 years old, but I think he would love to connect with me. And when I go to Argentina and visit him, I'd like to, yes, because I always saw the music as a totality. I even conducted once a Mozart piano concerto because we didn't have a conductor. When we came with the orchestra, the Budapest Concert Orchestra to Buenos Aires, I had to conduct it. But I knew that concerto very well. Once again, that was the concerto that made my mind when I was 16, and then I later played. But also, when I first performed with orchestra, I played the D minor Bach concerto, and I remember studying every instrument. I like to think in music as a whole, especially chamber music. When studying Beethoven sonatas, I felt I was studying an orchestra. Anyway, so that's one of my wishes. The other thing I reconnected tremendously during the pandemic is with my own practice, and I started recording and making new repertoire, and I started practicing more hours like I did younger, and that made me feel, wow, my life is not going to be long enough to learn all the pieces that I want to learn. So that's always a wish for me, to keep studying. It's not that one arrived anywhere. It's always that joy. You have to nurture it. So to be able to continue doing that, and feeling the balance with my teaching activity with that is great. And teach more. That's what I would like. Also to teach more in different countries, like I started in India now, and thanks to the technology. So yeah, we even play duets with my students over Zoom. I record them. They have to practice the primo, but I record them the secondo, and we work on even in duets.
That's amazing. But this is, it's wonderful how the pandemic brought this about, that people start connecting so over the world. And I mean, here am I talking to you, and otherwise I would never have even thought of doing that. But a lot of musicians said that they enjoyed the time to play repertoire that they not necessarily had the time to play during normal life. But now I want to ask you something. Do you think there's, after this pandemic now, that musicians will have a bit more control over what they play or what they do, because of this time that you had, like you say now, you've had more time to practice, you've discovered more things, and do you think this will give you sort of more control?
I hope, because also we live in a time of uncertainty in that regard. But what it is something that puts at least the perspective and makes you think at, okay, what is what I truly want, and what did this time with myself give me, and to think about that, it's already a gift. I think that's already progress, just to be able to have some time and think about that.
Yeah. Well, Sebastian, I wanted to ask you now that if you want to do a shout out for your favorite restaurant, but you've already said your favorite restaurant.
Yes, I did. Café Sabarsky.
Pardon?
Café Sabarsky in Manhattan.
In Manhattan. So we'll make that your shout out then. I will put their website link also in the description.
Please do. I'm a very big fan of that place. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And but are you going to play something?
Oh yes. We said that. Let me put the camera in a way that you can see my hands. I think that's going to be better than you saw. My face. Nobody needs to see.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's
Is
great.
that good?
That's perfect. Yeah. Shall I like to play that? I shall put you now on full screen so that I'm not in the way.
Sure. What I'm going to do is play that prelude that when I was little, I was describing about Bach. Okay.
Okay. Perfect. Oh, that was beautiful.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Wow. Oh, that was beautiful.
Thank you.
I actually haven't heard this one before.
It's pretty. I feel it's a lot in one little piece.
Yeah, beautiful. Listen, Sebastian, this was so great to talk to you. And do you ever come to Vienna?
I hope, because I have a sister that lives in Amsterdam, and a Dutch niece, and my son is studying in London as part of a program for Northeastern University here in Boston, but he had to go kick off in London. So I hope, and when I go, I hope to do a little tour.
Yeah, you have to come and do a concert for us.
Okay, all right, sounds good.
Yeah, what is your son studying?
Well, he's studying economics and human sciences at the College of the Humanities in London.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you have children who play the piano as well?
Well, I have two stepdaughters also, my wife, and so they are not musicians. They are also about to get into college. But
really?
Yes. So no, I'm the only one. For my parents and
incredible,
and looking down too.
Well, maybe your grandchildren will then be
far. Exactly, I was going to say.
Yeah, let's put that wish out there.
All right, done. Deal.
Well, have a lovely day in New York where the sun is shining, and I hope to meet you one day in person.
Yeah, same here, and have a wonderful night for you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay. Bye, Petra.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.